Hi, this is Brian from Trellis at the Heathman Hotel in Kirkland, Washington, and I'm here today to show you how to make mussel tomato soup. Now, it's important that we want to focus on our flavors in the soup, and we have fresh mussels from the Pacific Northwest waters of Penn Cove. I'm going to use a puree of fresh tomatoes, a little bit of rosemary, some diced heirloom tomato, a little leek, and a little white wine. Now, I'm going to make a quick, very rustic, flavorful soup, and all these flavors are going to come together in one pot. We don't need to saute. We're going to blend everything in together. So I start by putting in a little white wine into a warm pot. I'm going to put my shallots, and again, my leeks in, tomatoes. And this is the type of soup where you can ad-lib a little bit. If you really like rosemary, you can add a touch more rosemary. If you don't like rosemary, you can leave the rosemary out. Here I'm going to put these in. I've taken some of our heirloom tomatoes and I've chopped them. I'm going to put our mussels in there because we want the broth from the mussels. It's all our flavor in the soup. And this is just pureed fresh tomato. Now you can get this in a can, but I prefer to use fresh from the farmer's market or your local produce counter. I'm going to put our tomatoes in there. We're going to put a touch of pepper, touch of salt, and some fresh basil. Now, often we chop the basil, but I think I'm going to do just a little bit of rustic rip on the basil. And just take those leaves. We're going to discard the stems. Just put those in. We're going to put this on the stove over medium heat, and it's going to take approximately 8 to 10 minutes to cook. We're going to let it rest for about a minute, 2 minutes before we plate it and put it in our bowl, and we'll have the most amazing mussel tomato soup you've ever tasted. Here, I've got sort of an odd-shaped pot, so just a little tip. If you don't have a lid for it, if you have a saute pan or another pan, you can put that pan on top so that you can steam your mussels. I'm going to put that on. While I was assembling that, I had another pan going with all our ingredients so that we can take and we can plate our soup and our mussels. So that beautiful. And I'm going to leave the mussels in the shell. I think it adds to the presentation. This is really delicious with crusty white bread, a little bit of grilled bread, or a nice piece of garlic toast. You want to make sure we get plenty of broth in there. I'm going to wipe our bowl. Still have a little bit of that basil there, so how about if we take just a sprig of that fresh basil, put it on the side, and we've got a beautiful mussel tomato soup.